Most people will never meet their true selves. They will live and die as a collection of reactions, a bundle of habits and anxieties handed to them by a world they never chose. They will spend their lives performing a role, but never reading their own soul's script. There's a quiet exhaustion that comes from a life of constant reaction, of being pulled by currents you cannot control. But what if there were ancient, time-tested tools for forging an unshakable inner peace? This journey is an exploration of 10 daily rituals, drawn from the great Stoic philosophers. These are not abstract theories, but practical disciplines. For your mind rituals to master your perception, transform obstacles into opportunities, and find profound tranquility in the midst of chaos. You are about to discover the blueprint for building an inner fortress, one daily practice at a time, allowing you to finally take command of your own soul. Asterisk. The first and most fundamental truth of this journey is a secret hidden in plain sight. Nothing outside of you has any power over you. Read that again. Nothing that happens, not the insult from a colleague, not the rejection letter, not the unexpected bill, not the political turmoil you read about on your phone, has any inherent power to disturb your peace. This feels like a lie, doesn't it? It feels like a denial of reality. Of course these things disturb us. We can feel the jolt of anger, the sinking feeling of dread, the hot flush of shame. We feel these things viscerally. They are real. But the ancient Stoics, philosophers who were not dusty academics but generals, statesmen, and artists living in a brutal and chaotic world, would offer a correction. The events do not disturb you. What disturbs you is your judgment about the events. This single idea, this wedge of light driven between the world and your reaction to it, is the key to unlocking your own prison. The Greek philosopher Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most revered thinkers of his time, made this the bedrock of his entire philosophy. He taught that we are not hurt by what happens, but by the story we tell ourselves about what happens. Think of your mind as a lens through which you view the world. For most of us, that lens is not clear. It is smeared and distorted by years of unexamined beliefs, insecurities, past traumas, and cultural conditioning. When an event occurs, say, your boss sends you a short, blunt email that just says, "We need to talk," you see it through this dirty lens. The lens instantly projects a story onto the neutral words. The story might be, "I'm in trouble. I've done something wrong. I'm going to be fired." This story then triggers a cascade of real physical emotions: a pounding heart, shallow breath, a knot in your stomach. We then make the mistake of believing the email caused this feeling. But it didn't. The story we told ourselves caused it. What if you had a different lens? What if your lens was clean, conditioned by practice to be clear and objective? You would see the same email and your first thought might be, "Okay, a conversation is needed. I will prepare by reviewing my current projects, and then I will go and listen." The event is identical. The interpretation, and therefore the entire emotional experience, is transformed. This is the practice of controlling perception, the conscious, deliberate act of cleaning the lens. It is not about pretending the email isn't real. It is about seeing it for what it is, few words on a screen, and refusing to let your unmanaged mind build a horror story around it. This is not the same as toxic positivity. It is not about pretending everything is wonderful. It is the opposite. It is about embracing reality with radical honesty. It is about seeing things as they are, stripped of the emotional labels we attach to them. The traffic jam is not a disaster. It is a collection of cars moving slowly. The criticism is not an attack. It is another person's opinion, based on their own flawed lens. This practice begins with a pause. In the space between the stimulus and your habitual response, you must create a moment of silence. In that silence, you ask a simple question: what just happened, and what story am I adding to it? You learn to separate the objective fact from your subjective interpretation. This is the hardest work you will ever do because your brain is wired to create stories automatically. It's a survival mechanism. But what helps us survive in the wild, instantly assuming the rustle in the grass is a predator, is what cripples us in the modern world. We treat every challenging email as a tiger in the grass. This ritual is the training to become a zookeeper of your own mind, to learn to distinguish the real tigers from the rustling leaves of everyday life. You begin to see that you are not a victim of your feelings, you are the author of them. And as the author, you can always choose to write a different story. This realization, when truly grasped, is the first step out of the leaky boat and onto the solid ground of your own sovereign mind. Even when we learn to manage our immediate reactions, our problems can still feel enormous. They can occupy every corner of our minds, casting a long shadow over everything we do. A financial worry, a conflict in a relationship, a health concern. These things can become our entire world. We are trapped in a tunnel of our own making, and the walls are papered with our anxieties. We lose all sense of scale, all perspective. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, arguably one of the most powerful men in the world during his reign, was intimately familiar with this feeling. He faced plagues, wars, betrayals, and the immense pressure of ruling an empire. His personal journal, which we now know as Meditations, is a record of him constantly working to pull himself out of this tunnel vision. The tool he used most often was a powerful visualization exercise, the view from above. The practice is this: in your mind, you begin to float upwards. You see yourself sitting or standing, wrestling with your problem. Then you rise higher. You see the room you are in, then the building. You float above your neighborhood, your city, watching the thousands of lights and the millions of lives unfolding, each with its own complex drama, its own joys and sorrows. You keep rising. You see the shape of your country, the continents, the vast blue oceans that separate them. You see the curve of the earth, a beautiful silent sphere of blue and white suspended in the blackness of space. You float further, past the moon, past the other planets in our solar system, until our brilliant sun is just another star in a sea of countless stars. You are now looking at the Milky Way galaxy, a swirling spiral of 100 billion suns. And it is itself just one of hundreds of billions of galaxies in the observable universe. Now from this vantage point, from this silent cosmic perch, you ask yourself, where is my problem? Where is the argument I had? Where is the deadline? That is causing me so much stress. From this perspective, your problem does not vanish. It is still there, a microscopic speck on a tiny planet orbiting an average star in a forgotten corner of an ordinary galaxy. But its power over you vanishes. Its emotional weight evaporates. The view from above is not an exercise in belittling your own suffering. It is an exercise in finding the proper context for it. It dismantles the ego's insistence that your personal drama is the most important event in the universe. It reminds you that you are part of something immeasurably vast and ancient, and your life is a brief, beautiful flicker within it. This perspective cultivates what the Stoics called sympathia, a sense of connection to the whole, a cosmic kinship. You realize that your struggles are not unique. On that tiny blue dot below, billions of other souls are experiencing their own versions of your pain. This doesn't invalidate your feeling. It universalizes it, transforming your isolating anxiety into a sense of shared humanity. Think of it like being lost in a dense forest. When you're on the ground, surrounded by towering trees, it feels like an impassable maze. Every direction looks the same. Panic sets in. The view from above is like being lifted by a giant hand to see the entire forest from above. You can see the layout of the land, the clearings, the rivers, and the paths leading out. The forest hasn't changed, but your relationship to it has been completely transformed. Panic gives way to strategy. This is a ritual to be practiced not just when you feel overwhelmed, but daily. Take a moment to look at a picture of the Earth from space. Let the scale of it wash over you. It is a humbling, clarifying, and profoundly calming practice. It is the antidote to the tyranny of the urgent. It is a reminder that the universe is not hostile to you. For the most part, it is not thinking of you at all. And in that cosmic indifference, there is not a cold emptiness, but an incredible freedom. The freedom to take your life seriously, but your problems are a little less. So, the way you begin your day determines the texture of your day. For most of the world, the day begins with an act of surrender. Before consciousness has fully bloomed, a hand reaches for a phone, and in that moment, the day is lost. The mind, still soft and impressionable from sleep, is immediately flooded with the agendas of others. The outrage of the day on social media, the urgent demands in your work emails, the curated perfection of other people's lives. This is the material that shapes your first thoughts and feelings. You begin the race from a starting position chosen by someone else, and you spend the rest of the day just trying to catch up. You are on defense. You are reacting. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively on this subject. He argued that life, for most people, is lived without a plan, and that a life without a plan is vulnerable to every passing whim and external pressure. The antidote he prescribed was to seize the morning, to claim that sacred space between sleep and the world's demands, and to forge a plan not for what you will do, but for who you will be. This is the ritual of the morning intention. It is profoundly different from writing a to-do list. A to-do list is about external achievements. Finish the report, go to the gym, buy groceries. An intention is about internal character. Before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, you take a few moments of stillness. You sit with a cup of coffee or simply look out a window, and you set a clear rudder for your soul. You might say to yourself, "Today, I will be patient. When my child spills their juice, I will choose patience. When my colleague is slow to respond, I will choose patience." Or, "Today, my intention is to be focused. I will resist the lure of distraction and give my full attention to the task in front of me and the person I am speaking with." You define your ideal character for the day. You are not predicting the future. You are preparing for it. You are deciding in advance how you will show up to whatever the day brings. Imagine your mind as a ship. If you leave the port without a rudder, the ship will be at the mercy of every current, every gust of wind. It will drift aimlessly, pushed and pulled by forces beyond its control. This is the state of the reactive mind. A to-do list is like a list of islands you hope to visit, but it does nothing to help you steer. A morning intention, however, is the rudder. When the strong current of an unexpected problem hits, you can now steer. When the wind of another person's anger blows, you can hold your course. The intention becomes your guide, your personal true north for the day. This practice transforms the entire day from a series of events that happen to you into a training ground for the character you want to build. The difficult client is no longer just a problem. They are your sparring partner for practicing patience. The boring, tedious task is no longer just a chore. It is your weight room for training diligence. This doesn't require a long time. It can be 2 minutes. The power is not in the duration, but in the deliberation. It is the act of consciously choosing your inner state before the world chooses it for you. It's a quiet declaration of sovereignty. You are saying, "My inner world is my own. I will be the one to set the weather here today." Over time, this practice builds a powerful sense of internal command. You begin to notice a space growing between the events of your life and your response to them. You no longer feel like a leaf in the wind. You feel like a tree, rooted in the intention you set. The The winds will still blow, that is the nature of the world, but they no longer have the power to uproot you. You learn to bend without breaking, to face the storm not with rigid resistance, but with a deep, flexible strength that comes from knowing, from the very first light of dawn, exactly who you have chosen to be. There's a strange paradox in the human heart. We spend our lives desperately clinging to the things we love, living in a quiet, low-grade fear that they will be taken from us. We love our partners, our children, our health, our careers, and so this love is tinged with a constant anxiety of loss. We try to solve this anxiety by pretending it isn't there, by pushing the thought of loss away. We build our happiness on a foundation we refuse to inspect, hoping the ground beneath it is solid. The Stoics saw this as a recipe for inevitable suffering. They understood that loss is not a possibility. It is a certainty. Health fades, people leave, fortunes turn, and life itself is temporary. To build your peace on the assumption that things will always stay as they are is to build your house on a crumbling cliff edge. The solution was not one of denial, but of radical acceptance, practiced through a ritual that sounds at first incredibly dark: premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This ritual is the conscious and deliberate act of imagining the loss of the things you value most. It is not about wallowing in morbid fantasies. It is a precise philosophical tool. You take a moment in the morning to think about your life. You think about your job and you vividly imagine that you have been fired. You think about your home and you imagine it is gone. You think about the people you love most in the world and you contemplate, just for a moment, their absence from your life. The immediate objection is, why would anyone do this? This is terrifying. But the Stoics were not trying to create terror. They were trying to do two very specific and powerful things. First, they were trying to inoculate themselves against the shock of loss. A misfortune that is anticipated is a misfortune that has been stripped of its greatest weapon, surprise. When you have mentally rehearsed a scenario, you have already thought through your response. If the worst happens, you are not paralyzed by shock. You are prepared to act with courage and resilience. It is a fire drill for the soul. The alarm bell is loud, but it is a drill, not a real fire. It trains you so that if the smoke of real tragedy ever fills your life, you know the way out. The second, and perhaps more beautiful, purpose of this ritual is to cheat the hedonic treadmill, the human tendency to quickly get used to the good things in our lives until we no longer notice them. That new job, that new relationship, that clean bill of health, at first, they bring immense joy. But soon, they become the new normal. They become expected. We take them for granted. Negative visualization shatters this complacency. By briefly imagining the loss of your partner, you suddenly see them later that day with fresh eyes. The 1,000 tiny things you stopped noticing come rushing back into focus. Their laugh, the way they drink their coffee, their presence next to you. These things are no longer just normal. They are precious gifts. By imagining life without them, you get to experience the joy of having them all over again. The practice does not make you anxious. It makes you profoundly grateful. It transforms your fragile, clinging attachment into a deep, robust appreciation. You learn to love the people and things in your life, not because you assume they will always be there, but precisely because you know they won't. This is a subtle art. It is not about dwelling on the negative. It is a quick, strategic dip into the cold water of potential loss to wake up your appreciation for the warmth of your actual life. It is Seneca's advice to treat everything you have as if it were on loan from fortune, something that can be recalled at any moment without notice. This doesn't make you callous. It makes you a better steward of the gifts you have been given, for as long as you are given them. You stop living in a fantasy world where everything is permanent and start living in the real, beautiful, and temporary world as it is. You find a strange kind of peace a peace that is not dependent on circumstances remaining perfect, but one that is strong enough to endure them when they are not. It is the peace of the person who knows the value of what they have and is prepared, but not afraid, to lose it. Our modern world is a grand conspiracy against our own resilience. It is a relentless campaign to sell us a single idea, that comfort is the ultimate good. From the temperature-controlled air in our homes and cars, to the endless supply of cheap, hyper-palatable food delivered to our door, to the algorithmic entertainment designed to eliminate even a moment of boredom, we are cocooned. We have systematically engineered hardship, struggle, and even minor inconvenience out of our lives. And in doing so, we have made ourselves incredibly fragile. We have become like hothouse flowers, perfectly adapted to a controlled environment, but utterly incapable of surviving a single unexpected frost. When real, unavoidable discomfort arrives, a physical illness, a financial setback, a difficult but necessary confrontation, we crumble. Our tolerance for any kind of friction has become so low that we are psychologically and spiritually weak. We are terrified of the cold, of hunger, of effort. This comfort, which we chase so relentlessly, has become our cage. The Stoics understood that strength, like any muscle, is built only through resistance. A life without any challenge is a life without any growth. To counter the seductive pull of ease, they practiced a powerful ritual, voluntary discomfort. They would intentionally and strategically introduce small, controlled doses of hardship into their lives. Seneca would periodically live on sparse, simple food for several days. Cato the Younger was known for walking barefoot and wearing minimal clothing in all weather. They were not doing this for punishment. They were doing it as a form of training, a psychological vaccine against misfortune. By choosing to be a little cold, a little hungry, or a little tired, they were teaching their minds and bodies a fundamental lesson. I can handle this. This is not the end of the world. My peace does not depend on my comfort. Think of it as weightlifting for your willpower. When you go to the gym, you don't get stronger by lifting an empty bar. You get stronger by adding weight, by putting your muscles under a controlled strain that forces them to adapt and grow. Voluntary discomfort is the same principle applied to your character. Taking a cold shower in the morning is a perfect example. For those 60 seconds, your body is screaming at you to stop. Your mind is racing with 100 reasons why you should turn the handle to warm. But by choosing to endure it, by breathing through the shock, you are training your prefrontal cortex, the seat of your discipline and will, to override your primal, comfort-seeking instincts. You are teaching yourself to be the master of your own impulses, not their slave. Each time you do it, you cast a vote for the person you want to be, someone who can do hard things. This ritual can take many forms. It can mean sleeping on the floor for a night to remind yourself that you don't need a plush mattress. It can mean fasting for a day to learn the difference between real hunger and the habitual craving for stimulation. It can mean intentionally taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or leaving your phone in another room for an entire evening to endure the discomfort of boredom. The point is not the specific act, but the intention behind it. You are proving to yourself in small, manageable ways that your inner peace is portable. It is not something that exists only when the external conditions are perfect. By willingly stepping out of your comfort zone, you expand its borders. You become more robust, more adaptable, more confident. And when involuntary, real hardship inevitably arrives, as it does for everyone, you will not meet it with the terror of an untested soldier. You will meet it with the calm confidence of a veteran who is trained for this battle 1,000 times before in the safe barracks of their own disciplined life. There's a fundamental posture we take toward the problems in our lives. For most of us, That posture is one of conflict. When a roadblock appears, a difficult project at work, a sudden illness, a betrayal by a friend, a global pandemic, our immediate gut reaction is to see it as an injustice, a deviation from the path. We think, this shouldn't be happening, this is in my way. This mindset, as natural as it feels, puts us in a state of war with reality itself. We exhaust our energy wishing things were different, complaining about the unfairness of the obstacle, and feeling victimized by circumstance. We are like a river that comes up against a great boulder. We can spend a century smashing against it in frustration, or we can learn to flow around it. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, articulated the core of the Stoic approach to this problem. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is the ritual of reframing. It is the mental alchemy of turning poison into medicine. It is the discipline of seeing every obstacle not as a barrier to your path, but as the path itself. The Stoic does not pray for a life without problems. They pray for the wisdom and courage to transform the problems they have into fuel for their own virtue. This is not a passive acceptance. It is an active, creative engagement with reality. The obstacle is not something to be endured until it goes away. It is raw material. The rude comment from a stranger is not just an annoyance. It is a perfect, unexpected opportunity to practice forgiveness and patience. The daunting, complex project at work is not just a burden. It is a chance to cultivate diligence, focus, and creativity. The physical injury that lays you up for weeks is not a catastrophe. It is a mandatory seminar on the nature of patience, humility, and the adaptability of the human spirit. Imagine a master craftsman, a blacksmith. A blacksmith needs two things to create a sword: fire and steel. The fire is the obstacle, the intense destructive heat. A novice might see the fire as the enemy of the steel, but the master knows the fire is what makes the transformation possible. The fire softens the steel, making it malleable, allowing it to be shaped and strengthened. Without the intense heat of the obstacle, the steel would remain just a useless lump of iron. We are the steel. Our life's challenges are the fire. This ritual is the practice of becoming the master blacksmith of our own soul. It is to learn to see the fire not as a threat, but as an indispensable tool. When life turns up the heat, we don't complain about being burned. We say, it is time to be forged. This requires a profound shift in perspective. It means that when you are faced with a setback, your first question is no longer, why is this happening to me? Instead, it becomes, what virtue can I practice right now? What good can I extract from this situation? This changes everything. It turns you from a passive victim into an active agent. You are no longer defined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond. This is the art of turning every no from the world into a yes for your own character. You failed at a business venture? Good. This is your chance to learn resilience, to analyze your mistakes with honesty, and to practice the courage to begin again. Someone betrayed your trust? A painful but powerful lesson in choosing your company more wisely, and an opportunity to practice the difficult virtue of letting go. This is the ultimate life hack, the secret known to every great leader, artist, and thinker throughout history. The path to greatness is not a clear, easy road. The path to greatness is the obstacle course itself. The way is the block. We are all living under a spell. It is the quiet, pervasive, and deeply comforting illusion that we have all the time in the world. We live as if our days are infinite, as if the sand in our hourglass will never run out. This spell is the mother of procrastination. It allows us to postpone the difficult conversations, to put off our most important work, to save our true selves for a magical future date called someday. We spend our precious non-renewable moments doom-scrolling on our phones, engaging in petty arguments, and worrying about the opinions of people we barely know. We are like wealthy heirs, squandering an inheritance of time we believe will never end. We anesthetize our awareness of this truth with noise, with busyness, with distraction. Because in the silence, we might hear the clock ticking, and it terrifies us. The Stoics believed that this terror was not something to be avoided, but something to be harnessed. They had a phrase for it, a two-word ritual to break the spell, memento mori. Remember you will die. This is not a morbid obsession with death. It is a vibrant, life-affirming call to arms. It is a tool for radical clarity. The Stoics kept skulls on their desks, not because they were Gothic or macabre, but as a compass. The constant, quiet reminder of their own mortality was the filter through which they made all their decisions. It strips away the trivial, the non-essential, and leaves only what truly matters. When you are faced with a choice, a fear, or a hesitation, the practice of memento mori asks you a simple question. In the face of my death, does this matter? Does the fear of embarrassment matter? Does the opinion of that stranger matter? Does the petty grudge you are holding on to matter? The answer, almost always, is a resounding no. What matters is whether you were kind, whether you were courageous, whether you used your limited time to create something of value, to love your people well, and to live in accordance with your own principles. Imagine your life as a book. Every day, you write a single page. If you believed you had an infinite number of pages, you might not worry about writing a few dozen boring, meaningless, or ugly ones. You could always fix it later. But if you knew the book had only a finite number of pages, and you did not know the final page number, how would you approach the page you are writing today? You would write it with intention. You would want every sentence to have meaning. Memento mori is the practice of remembering that the book is finite. It urges you to make today's page a masterpiece. It is the enemy of someday. It is the champion of now. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement address, spoke of this very practice. He said that remembering he would be dead soon was the most important tool he had ever encountered to help him make the big choices in life. Because, in his words, almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. This ritual is not meant to create a constant state of panic, but a constant state of appreciative urgency. It is the difference between a tourist who has 2 weeks in a beautiful city and a resident who has lived there their whole life. The resident takes it for granted. The tourist sees every landmark, tastes every food, and soaks in every moment because they know their time is limited. Memento mori asks you to be a tourist in your own life, to see the familiar faces of your loved ones as breathtaking sights, to see the daily routine not as a chore, but as a precious itinerary. It is a practice that can be done at any moment. When you feel yourself getting dragged into a pointless argument, whisper to yourself, I am dying. When you are hesitating to take a healthy risk, whisper, I am dying. It is not a mantra of despair. It is a mantra of liberation. It is the key that unlocks you from the trivial prison of your own ego and frees you to live the brave, authentic, and meaningful life that is waiting for you right here. On this very page. So much of our daily suffering, our anxiety, our anger, our disappointment, our envy is born from a single catastrophic error of thinking. It is the mental habit of trying to command the weather, of shouting at the tide, to stop, of trying to force the sun to rise in the west. It is the exhausting, fruitless, and maddening effort of trying to control what is not ours to control. We invest our precious mental and emotional energy into things that are fundamentally outside of our command. We worry obsessively about what other people think of us. We rage against the traffic. We despair over the economy. We try to force our partners, our children, and our colleagues to think and act as we do. We are like archers who spend all their time trying to control the wind rather than their own aim. The result is a life of constant frustration, a feeling of powerlessness. Because we have chosen to fight a battle we are mathematically guaranteed to lose. Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, offered a simple, radical, and life-altering solution. He called it the dichotomy of control, and it is the operating system for a tranquil mind. The principle is this: some things in the world are up to us, and some things are not. That's it. The entire universe of your experience can be sorted into one of these two baskets. What is in the first basket? The things that are up to us. It is a very short list. It contains your own thoughts, your judgments, your intentions, your choices, and your actions. In short, your inner world. That is your kingdom. You have absolute sovereignty there. What is in the second basket? The things that are not up to us. Literally everything else. Your body, your health, your reputation, your wealth, the opinions of others, the past, the future, the weather. These things are external to your will. You may have influence over them, but you do not have ultimate control. The ritual, then, is to become a ruthless accountant of your own energy. It is to constantly ask of any situation, which part of this is in my basket and which part is not? And then to focus every ounce of your effort on your basket and practice a radical, courageous acceptance of what is in the other. This is not about being passive or apathetic. It is the opposite. It is about becoming lethally effective. Imagine you are preparing for a critical job interview. A mind untrained in this dichotomy will be a whirlwind of anxiety. What if they don't like me? What if I get a tough question? What if the interviewer is in a bad mood? I hope I get the job. All of this energy is wasted because it is all focused on the second basket, the things you cannot control. The Stoic mind performs the sort. The interviewer's mood? Not in my basket. The questions they ask? Not in my basket. Whether I get the job? Not in my basket. My preparation? That's in my basket. The quality and honesty of my answers, in my basket. My posture, my professionalism, my mindset going in, all in my basket. All of the nervous, scattered energy is now gathered and channeled, like a laser, onto the few things that actually matter, the things you can command. You become calmer, more focused, and ironically, far more likely to achieve the outcome you want, because you are no longer sabotaging yourself by worrying about what you can't change. This is a discipline to be practiced moment by moment. When you find yourself getting angry at someone else's behavior, you perform the sort. Their behavior is not in your basket. Your response to it is. When you feel envy scrolling through social media, you perform the sort. Their life and accomplishments are not in your basket. Your choice to compare yourself and feel diminished is. This practice starves your negative emotions at their source. Anger, anxiety, and envy are almost always the result of wanting to control something from the second basket. By willingly letting go of that desire, you reclaim your peace. It is the act of tending your own garden rather than trying to command the entire ecosystem. You cannot control the weather, but you can control whether you plant good seeds, pull the weeds, and water the soil. This simple, profound sorting exercise, practiced daily, is the key to moving from a state of anxious powerlessness to one of quiet, focused, and unshakable strength. When we are in the grip of a powerful emotion, rage, fear, jealousy, despair, we lose ourselves. Our rational mind goes offline. Our deeply held values are forgotten. We are hijacked by the most primitive parts of our brain, and we say and do things we almost always regret later. In these moments, we feel utterly alone, trapped inside our own chaotic reaction. We want to be better, to be wiser, to be more courageous, but we don't know how. We lack a map, a guide, a role model for our better selves. Our own perspective is too narrow, too clouded by the storm of the moment. We need a lighthouse to guide us back to shore. The Roman philosopher Seneca offered a powerful technique for this exact situation. He wrote that we should choose a Cato, a person of impeccable moral character, and live our lives as if they were constantly watching us. We should ask ourselves at every turn, what would my role model do? This is the ritual of the contemplation of the sage. The sage is your own personal ideal of wisdom and virtue. This is not about deifying a person, because no human is perfect. It is about creating a mental construct, an avatar of your highest self. Your sage could be a historical figure known for their wisdom, like Socrates or Marcus Aurelius. It could be a more modern figure you admire for their integrity, like Martin Luther King Jr. or a specific spiritual leader. It could even be a fictional character who embodies the virtues you aspire to, or a composite of the best qualities of people you know personally. The identity of the sage is less important than their function. Their function is to serve as an external, objective advisor who lives in your own mind, an incorruptible consultant available to you 24/7. When you are faced with a dilemma, a temptation, or an emotional crisis, the practice is to pause the film of your own life, step out of your own role, and ask this sage a simple question. How would you handle this? Imagine you've just been publicly criticized by a colleague in a meeting. Your immediate animal instinct might be to lash out, to defend your ego, to counterattack. Your face feels hot, your heart is pounding. You are drowning in your own reactive emotion. Now you pause. You close your eyes for a brief second and you summon your sage. Perhaps your sage is Marcus Aurelius. You ask him, Marcus, you were an emperor. You faced constant betrayal and criticism. How would you respond to this? You know from his writings that he would likely see the colleague's criticism not as a personal attack, but as a reflection of their own ignorance or fear. He would not lower himself to their level. He would respond with calm, with dignity, and perhaps with a clarifying question, or he might choose to say nothing at all, recognizing that some battles are not worth fighting. By consulting him, you have instantly been given a new set of options, a wiser script to follow. The heat of your own emotion subsides, replaced by the cool clarity of your chosen ideal. You have borrowed your sage's strength and wisdom in the moment you needed it. Thus, this is not a game of make-believe. It is a powerful psychological tool that leverages the human capacity for modeling and aspiration. It creates distance between you and your raw impulses. It forces you to articulate the problem to an objective third party, which in itself is a clarifying act, and it connects you to your own highest values. Your sage is, after all, a reflection of the person you truly want to be. By consulting them, you are really consulting the best version of yourself. You can use this in any situation. Tempted to cut corners on a project? Ask your sage. Afraid to have a difficult but necessary conversation? Ask your sage. Feeling overwhelmed with despair? Ask your sage how they would find meaning in this suffering. Practiced over time, something remarkable begins to happen. The distance between you and your sage begins to shrink. Your initial response starts to more closely resemble their wise counsel. You need to consult them less and less, because their wisdom is being integrated into your own character. You are not just pretending to be wise. You are practicing wisdom until it becomes a part of who you are. There is a final destination on this journey, a summit that lies beyond mere resilience. You can practice every other ritual perfectly. You can control your perceptions, endure hardship, act with purpose, and face your mortality with courage. You can build an impregnable inner fortress, a citadel of the mind that can withstand any siege, and yet you can still feel that you are at war. You can still feel that you are the fortress, and life is the enemy army at the gates. You are enduring, you are surviving, you are resilient, But are you joyful? Are you at peace? There is a final subtle layer of resistance that separates the resilient soul from the truly liberated one. It is the quiet, lingering wish that things had been different. I will endure this illness, we say, but I wish I were not sick. I will get through this failure, we think, but I wish it had never happened. This final, but I wish, is the last ghost in the machine, the final barrier to tranquility. The ultimate ritual, the capstone of the entire Stoic arch, is designed to exorcise this ghost. It is the practice of Amor Fati, a love of one's fate. The phrase was popularized by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, but the concept is deeply Stoic. It is the idea that you should not just accept or tolerate everything that happens in your life, but love it. You should want it to happen exactly as it does. This is, without question, the most difficult and the most radical of all the Stoic practices. It asks you to look at every moment of your life, the triumphs, the joys, the most heartbreaking tragedies, the most painful failures, the ugliest mistakes, and to say to all of it, with your entire being, yes, I would not have it any other way. This is not a resignation to fate, it is an embrace of it. It is a passionate, joyful, and unconditional yes to the entirety of your existence. It is the belief that everything that has happened, good and bad, was a necessary and indispensable ingredient in the creation of the person you are today. How is this possible? How can one love a devastating loss or a humiliating failure? The key is to see your life not as a series of disconnected events, but as a single, interconnected, and coherent story. And in a great story, the most difficult chapters are often the most important. They are where the hero is forged, where the deepest lessons are learned, and where the most profound transformations occur. Think of your own life. The period of your greatest struggle, was it not also the period of your greatest growth? The most painful ending, did it not clear the way for a necessary new beginning? Amor Fati is the practice of trusting this process in real time. It is to trust, in the midst of the fire, that you are not being destroyed, but are being forged. It transforms the question from, why is this happening to me, to why is this happening for me? It is the ultimate reframe, turning every obstacle not just into the way, but into a gift. Imagine your life as a vast tapestry being woven by fate. You are standing on the underside of it. All you can see is a chaotic mess of tangled threads, knots, and seemingly random colors. It looks ugly and meaningless. From this perspective, it is easy to despair. Amor Fati is the discipline of trusting that, on the other side of the tapestry, these same threads are forming a beautiful, coherent, and meaningful image. You may never get to see it fully, but you choose to love the process of its creation anyway. You choose to love every single thread, even the dark and tangled ones, because you trust that each one is essential to the final picture. This is the end of your war with reality. When you can truly say, I love this, to whatever life brings, you are no longer a soldier defending a fortress. The fortress walls dissolve. You become like a fire that consumes everything in its path and turns it all into heat and light. You take the pain, the joy, the boredom, the success, the failure, and you use it all as fuel for your own life, your own growth, your own brilliance. You have found a peace that cannot be shaken, because it is no longer dependent on getting what you want, but on wanting everything that you get. So where does this journey leave us? We began in a leaky boat, tossed on a chaotic sea, feeling like victims of the current. We have now been given the blueprints for 10 ancient tools for patching the leaks, for strengthening the hull, for learning to read the stars. But it is crucial to understand that these 10 rituals are not a checklist to be completed. They are not a magic formula for a life free of pain or difficulty. The sea will always be the sea. The storms will still come. The world will never stop. presenting you with challenges, frustrations, and sorrows. The entire purpose of this philosophy is not to change the world. It is to change the sailor. It is to transform you from a terrified passenger into a calm, wise, and unshakable captain of your own vessel. The goal was never to arrive at a destination of perpetual happiness. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, a fair-weather passenger on your ship. The goal is to cultivate something far more durable, far more valuable. The goal is to cultivate eudaimonia, a Greek word that doesn't mean happiness, but something closer to human flourishing, to a state of profound inner well-being that is independent of external circumstance. It is the quiet, solid, and unbroken peace that comes from living a life of virtue and wisdom, from knowing that you have done your best with what was in your control and have accepted the rest with grace. It is the peace of the deep ocean. The surface can be a raging chaos of waves and wind, but 500 feet below, there's only a profound and powerful stillness. These rituals are the practice of learning to live in that stillness within yourself, no matter what is happening on the surface. Think back to the person you were began this practice. The person whose day could be ruined by a single email. The person who was terrified of loss, who was a slave to comfort, who saw obstacles as personal insults from the universe. The person who wasted their precious finite moments on trivialities, who felt powerless and overwhelmed. Now picture the person you become through this daily work. A person who sees events for what they are. A person who can zoom out and find perspective. A person who begins each day with purpose, who is grateful for what they have because they know it is temporary. A person who welcomes challenges as opportunities to grow, who is strengthened by discomfort, and who lives with an acute awareness of their own mortality. A person who focuses their energy like a laser on what they can control, who is guided by their highest ideals, and who can look upon their entire, messy, beautiful, and painful life story and say, I love this. All of it. This transformation does not happen overnight. It is the work of a lifetime. It is a practice, not a perfection. You will fail, you will forget. You will get hijacked by your emotions. You will find yourself back in the leaky boat, frantically bailing water. And that is okay. Because the real practice is not about never falling down. It is about how you get back up. It is about gently and firmly returning to these tools, again and again. It is the quiet, daily, unglamorous work of choosing to be the blacksmith of your own soul. It is the choice, repeated every day, to stop fighting the ocean and to start building a better boat. It is the journey toward an unbroken mind, a tranquil heart, and a life not of ease, but of meaning. A life that is truly and finally your own. Subscribe for more on the art of living.